All right, today we're diving into something pretty fascinating. It's a professional training module that talks a big game about leadership and integrity, but then it takes this really sharp turn. It's all about teaching you how to spot a lie. So let's break down how it does this, and maybe try to figure out why.
I mean, it's a question we've all wondered, right? How can you really tell when someone isn't being straight with you? Well, this exact question is the hook for the entire training module we're looking at today. It basically promises to give you the secret.
So the module starts off on a pretty high note. It sets up this grand ideal. Let's take a look at the foundation it says it's built on, this supposedly unbreakable connection between being a leader and having integrity. This is the starting block for the whole thing.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Check out the wording. The source material says the starting point is a perception of transparency and integrity. See that? By calling it a perception and not just a fact, the module very cleverly carves out some room to introduce a problem.
And just so we're all on the same page, the main quality they're talking about here is transparency. You know, the idea that a great leader is like an open book. Their motives are clear, their actions are easy to understand. This is the gold standard they present, how things should be. And, setting up this perfect ideal, it just makes the contrast that's coming next that much more powerful.
Okay, so after laying out that perfect world of integrity, the module just slams on the brakes and takes a hard left. It shifts gears completely from the theory of leadership to the very real problem it actually wants to tackle, the anatomy of deception.
And this slide really captures that pivot perfectly. You see how it moves away from that big, fluffy ideal of transparency and integrity and zooms way in on something super specific, what it calls the behavior of deception between a male and a female. The key thing to notice is that shift. They stop talking about building a good trait in leaders and start talking about how to spot a bad one in other people.
So this brings us right to the curriculum. If the whole point is to understand deception, what is this training actually promising to teach you? What are the skills you're supposed to walk away with?
Well, it boils it down to three big questions. It says it'll teach you why people lie, what's their motivation. Then, when they lie, what are the situations that trigger it? And finally, how they lie, the actual techniques and the telltale signs. It's a very systematic, almost scientific way of looking at dishonesty.
And that brings us to the grand finale here, the ultimate skill they promise you'll have. This is where the module's marketing language goes from being analytical to being very, very action-oriented.
Okay, so you've learned the why, the when, and the how of lying. What's the one massive, powerful skill they say you're going to leave with? What's the big payoff?
And there it is, a direct quote. You've got to love the language, right? It's not just you'll learn to detect lies. No, it's way more dramatic than that. You'll be trained to capture the cunning fox behavior. It turns deception into this clever, sly animal that you have to outsmart and trap.
So if you manage to capture the behavior of this so-called cunning fox, then what? What's the end game? What is the final, ultimate goal of all this training?
And there you have it. It's so direct, isn't it? The whole point of this training, in its own words, is to get the big liar. I mean, that's a really blunt, almost aggressive way to frame a professional development course.
So let's just quickly run through the journey this module takes us on. It starts out with this noble idea of leadership and integrity. Then it pulls a classic bait and switch, pivoting hard to focus on the nitty-gritty of deception, the why, when, and how. And it all wraps up with this super active, almost hunt-like goal, to capture the cunning fox and expose the liar. And all of this leaves us with one final and I think really important question. The fact that a module like this even exists and is framed this way, it makes you wonder. When professional training starts shifting from how to be a person of integrity to how to catch a liar, what does that really tell us about the level of trust we have in our leadership structures today? Definitely something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.